Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all around the world of crypto and blockchain. And today I have another amazing guest. She is, actually, I didn't ask her for her title. I believe she's the CEO of DRIFE. Her name is Firdosh Sheikh. Firdosh, welcome to the show.
Hey, hi Jamil, thank you so much.
I did get that right, CEO, right?
Yes, it is you.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining me. So wonderful. So I want to kick things off, and I'll ask you first. What is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
It is not a logical background for what I'm doing now. So I come from core of finance background. I've worked with companies like Microsoft and a hedge fund before I started my journey of building Drive. So I come from core of a finance background. Uh, and in my last job, I was also like trading. But then I started a tech company. So it is very different from where I come from.
Wow. Okay. So those experiences at the hedge fund, and how did they prepare you to lead Drive?
See, I'll just get back to my experience at Microsoft. So Microsoft was my first job, and it was also like a dream company I wanted to work for. And when I was working in the finance department, I could like see how different departments work. Although it did not prepare me like technically, because all things that I have to learn to build Drive technically was something that was not taught to me, but like a spirit of leading people and how to build culture and run company is something that I learned while I was at Microsoft, that how to get work done, how to work around people. That's something that I learned, and I was able to then, when I decided that I wanted to do something on my own, I had this experience which helped me so much, that how actually you can work around people and work along with people.
Great, great. I didn't get that. I didn't get that in my days at AIG. It was cutthroat a lot, but so I'm glad you environment that it was collaborative. Awesome. So Drive, what is Drive all about, including your vision and your mission for the company?
Sure. So Drive is a very basic concept. We all are aware of Uber, Lyft, Careem, and different ride-hailing company that exist across the globe. If you look at all the ride-hailing company, be it Uber being a global company, and then we have local players in different part of the world. That's what Drive is about. It is about connecting driver and rider with each other without the existence of a middleman. Now, why I started building Drive when there was like companies like Uber in the world is because if you look at ride-hailing company, they are multi-billion-dollar companies. But if you look back at drivers' livelihood, they're still struggling to make their livelihood, and that makes me question that why is it happening? That why they don't have a very good life, and the question lies in there's a huge gap between the demand and supply and how it is managed by ride-hailing company, and it starts with very basic of high commission that exist in the ride hailing space. And when I firsthand experienced this as a rider, where a driver asked me, like, cancel the trip, I'll take you to the airport, pay me $100 less. That's when I got to know that driver was paying 45% as commission for that ride. And for me, someone who was coming from finance, it was not making sense that why would someone pay 45 or even like 30, 35, 40% as commission. And that's where I decided that I wanted to build something which gives driver access to the income that they deserve. And that's what my mission is. And my vision for building Drive was always that I want to give driver back what they truly deserve. They work endless hours behind the wheel, and they deserve to earn the money that they rightfully are earning. And that's what Drive is about, connecting drivers and riders and giving back to the community. I really believe that we want to make an impact on the livelihood of not just drivers, but their families, where it all starts with they earning what they deserve.
That makes sense. Earn what you deserve, but I didn't know this. So say I get an Uber ride from my house to Manhattan, which is $200. I do that.
Mm-hmm.
How much goes to Uber? How much goes to the driver?
See, the problem at this point is a transparency being a bigger issue. Different rides for different rides, different type of commission are being charged. Like for a shorter ride, sometimes they charge like the base is like 20-25%, but it can go high as 45% if it's a premium location or a higher valued ride. The commission can increase up to 40%. There are certain rides that drivers are doing, but they end up paying like 40-45% as commission also. But because there is no transparency between, if you next time get into a ride and you see like how much you paid and you compare your invoice with the driver earning, you'll see there's a drastic difference between how much you were charged, how much they are shown, how much they're actually end up earning. So transparency at this point is such a bigger issue in this space.
Got it. Oh, I didn't realize that their net was minimal because their commission.
Exactly. So there's this one video that recently went live on YouTube where like few drivers were called together and they tried to look at their earning, and you found out that okay, there's so much variation between how different drivers are earning different amount for the same kind of rides they are doing, same destinations they are doing. It all is, it's so laggy at this point where the motivation of the ride hailing companies are to like maximize their own profit at the cost of drivers' livelihood.
Got it. So you're offering a transparent mobility solution. In addition to net income, why is it important to give riders, especially riders, right, a transparent and drivers too, a transparent mobility solution? And how are you championing fairness, transparency, and user autonomy?
Yeah. See, if you look at like, I'll give you an example of a country like, India, where a lot of time you get into this vicious circle that driver keep canceling on you when they get accepted for a ride, and they'll call you and ask you details like where are you going, how much you're paying, how you're paying, and then they cancel rides on you because there's no transparency in place in terms of driver even knowing the details of the ride, which at this point, if you see a lot of irritation or friction that exists among driver is now being passed on to you as rider, and your experience is getting worse day by day. It's not just about like getting cancellation or rides, or sometimes like driver won't show up, or even if like some like situation like what happened with me where driver asked me to cancel the trip. So it is adding to irritation to riders as well. So when you solve for issues for driver and they're happy, a happy driver leads to a happier ride experience is what we believe, and that's what we're trying to build at Drive, where it is not just about you paying for a ride using Drive where driver get to earn what they deserve, but you also have a better experience, not just with like uh, paying more to the driver directly, but also making sure that your ride experience is better. And with Drive, you're also trying to decentralize the matchmaking process, which means you as a user can not just decide with Drive where are you going, but you are able to decide how much you're going to pay, which driver you choose for yourself. So we're trying to decentralize the matchmaking process. Now, all of this where we are trying to build transparency and fairness. We use blockchain, we use smart contract to do fare calculation, driver allocation, which means there's no human intervention. So your fares are not manipulated by anyone, and no two users or no two drivers are treated differently.
Interesting. So a happy driver equates to a happy rider.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. The worst thing about it, going on a ride and having a complaining driver, right? So,
Yeah.
so one of the things, I mean, I was recently talking to a franchise before I, decided to stay doing podcasting. I was talking to a franchise company, and um, I was like, the franchise model isn't really used, too much in crypto and blockchain, but you have a franchise model, right?
Correct.
So how is the franchise model? I think it's the first of its kind in the industry, but how is it a game changer?
Okay. Now, if you look around the globe, everybody at one or the other point got very fascinated by the ride-hailing economy because of companies like Uber or local players coming in. But if you see a lot of people might be very good at running the operations of a ride hailing company like taxi association or like small corporates, but they don't have that kind of money or time to put in to build the technology around it. And when we started building Drive, we realized that if we have to launch Drive ourselves across the globe, it's going to take a lot of years for us. And then what will stop us from controlling everything and becoming someone like Uber tomorrow? And that's where we said that decentralization is not just happening in the ride experience. We want to build decentralized operation as well. And anyone, like as small as an individual to as big as a government body, can actually become Drive operators to run Drive. It's a very similar concept to how we have nodes to run blockchain. You have nodes who runs the blockchain. Similarly, we have local operators to run the operation. This way you get to new cities faster because there's a lot of interest. We have more than 100 plus applicants across the globe who wants to uh, run Drive operations. And like there are people who is like, okay, we have 10,000 drivers, we have a network of this many drivers, do you guys want to come to our city? So that makes us go faster into different ecosystem, but also allow local operator to make a business out of this for themselves without worrying about how to get the tech in place or running the tech. But the world is full of people who are entrepreneur and can run a taxi operation very efficiently, and that helps us as well, where we can like go to market faster.
Interesting. So I think I saw that you're in Dubai and Singapore, right? What have been some of the early challenges in those markets? And then as you what do you see as some of the challenges around the globe?
Yeah, so we are live in India and Dubai. Singapore, we recently did a POC for Token 2049 where we went to Singapore and did right. So we're not live in Singapore, although we do have plans for coming years. But currently, we're live in India and Dubai. So I'll speak about the challenges in Dubai. Dubai, we recently launched. For us, it was because Dubai is a very complicated, very regulated place. The first thing was obviously to crack the license. And as I said, like, having the franchising model actually helped us to get the license in place because we got a local existing player who was like, looking to expand their business into the ride sharing space, but they knew how to build the technology around that. And we told them like, okay, get the license, we'll get the application ready to launch in Dubai. So regulation wise, Dubai is very strict, very strict about how things work here. So licensing was difficult for us. It's just very early for us to like comment on what all challenges we will face when we are like fully live in Dubai, because it's very early. Like it's been like 15 days into operation in Dubai. India, I can speak about challenges because it's been like 2 years we are live in India. A bigger challenge is always competing against the existing players when they get into price war. And it always happen whenever you try to do something or run some campaigns, you'll always see them dropping their price to like the lowest they can because they have that kind of money to put in. And that's why it is very important for us that both driver and rider understand the narrative of why Drive was built, which was to give back to the driver and the rider community. And we have a very strong community of drivers who believe in the fact that Drive was built from a perspective of driver at first, that when you meet drivers in India who drive for Drive, they'll tell you that, please keep using Drive because I make more money. And that adds a lot to you as a user when you have to make that decision or shift from existing platform to a new platform, like why I am doing that. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get a similar kind of a cab. Similar driver might end up picking you up with Uber or Drive. What is making me to choose Drive is the whole sentiment value that someone's going to make more money if I make that wise choice. So it's more about like moving people to have a wiser choice. We're still working around it. We still try to do like new things to make that something which is like about the narrative that we want to build.
Got it. So the pain, like I'm trying to think. I've been in blockchain since 2017, and a lot of people in blockchain buy things to be part of a community, but that's not how the rest of the world works. The rest of the world works is they buy something, you pay for something to solve a pain point, right? So people have pain points with the ride hailing industry, right?
Correct.
How can blockchain-based apps restore confidence in the ride-hailing industry and remove some of those pain points that people are facing?
See, the bigger challenge, as I spoke earlier, also in the ride hailing space, is about transparency and fairness. Start with a very basic of a surge price that you paid today. You can never go to Uber and ask, like, why did I pay 2x of the price? Why, nobody can prove that there was a demand and supply difference, and that's why the price increased. When we use blockchain to do fair calculation, that's a very basic that we do, where we use blockchain to do fair calculation for you, where we don't where you as a company is not adding different multiplier depending upon different users and their purchasing capacity. That's a very beginning of how you can restore confidence among the both driver and rider about being a part of a ride hailing experience that is decentralized, starting with the matchmaking process. We need blockchain implementation on the places where transparency is a bigger issue, and it starts with the fair calculation and driver allocation, and that's where we use blockchain also to make sure that every individual within the ecosystem is treated equally and see similar fare for same distance and same time, and we don't add multipliers from our side, and you can always go and verify your ride, like why you paid for what you paid on chain, and there's no human intervention there. And that's a beginning of how decentralized applications can actually be a better version of existing Web2 application that exists today.
Got it. So I'm just thinking, you're right now, India is a primary market, and there's a lot of challenges in India, not just in transportation, but in identity. And how is your platform helping to solve some of the issues regarding identity, security, and verifiability as a secondary result of the ride sharing platform?
See, when we talk about identity and security, no, those are the things that, as per, like, if you look at ride-hailing ecosystem, it's a matured ecosystem. It's not the same 10 years back when there was no regulations in place. When you onboard a driver and when you're a compliant company where you have like licensed by the authorities, there are certain checks that you need to take care of specifically when you onboard a driver. So we do like security check. We make sure that every driver goes through a KYC process, a criminal check before we onboard a driver. There's no innovation as such we have done when we speak about identity and security. There are certain things that where we actually want to build digital identity for drivers, where the identity that you create for yourself with Drive not just stay with Drive but can be actually used for different purposes. But that's a long-term vision that we have with how we can create digital identity for drivers, which is very different and very secure as compared to like otherwise what exists today. But it's a roadmap, it's in the roadmap that we have, that we want to build, and it's only gonna happen like over time when we have like more and more data to work around and create that kind of stuff. And otherwise, like if we are still very immature in terms of having digital identity, if you only want to do it for your platform and nobody else is interested in using that, so it's very early at this point to build something like this, but we do have that in our roadmap to build digital identity for drivers.
Got it. Sounds good. So all the mobility and transportation interviews I've done, the founders have had some kind of United Nations sustainability goals in mind when building their platform, building their company. How are you aligned with some of their goals, and how are you redefining the goals of the mobility industry itself?
See, if we look at, sustainability as a concept and the very basic that everybody thinks about, like, okay, electric vehicles are the futures and we should integrate more on bringing in electric mobility and have a section. And that's what everybody is doing. Like everybody today, if you see, they have like one section, a segment of a ride that you can book, which is a green as a concept. I still feel that it is too early to nudge drivers. If you look at this whole ecosystem, everybody who has e-mobility as a segment, they actually own the fleet themselves. at this point, drivers have not seen what is in for them to move from the diesel or a petrol car. They are already driving to an electric vehicle, and we are looking at ways where we can actually nudge drivers to make that shift instead of we actually creating our own fleet. We do have a concept where, because a lot of the carbon footprints that we generate is basically about people driving around, where we can actually contribute towards a greener environment by planting trees. And these are all concepts that we want to work on. But I guess bigger thing that we want to work on is nudging drivers to make that shift for themselves, because around the globe, if you meet the taxi drivers, they're not very keen on moving to electric vehicle because of certain limitation with how the infrastructure is currently, how they how they have to like travel to get the car recharged and everything. So infrastructure still remains a problem. We're still working around how can we nudge drivers to make that shift for them.
Okay. Now I have to ask a follow-up on that because you said that six had nudge. Apparently, I mean, not apparently, it is a deal, a big deal is the nudge economy, right? Um,
Correct.
what is your role? What do you see as your role overall vision and role in the nudge economy, and how do we use a platform like yours, like blockchain-based platform, to help promote and develop that nudge economy going forward?
See, I'll say this like, it is always about choices that, people want to make for themselves. And at this point, I guess, it's specifically in the crypto and the blockchain space, it's also all about incentivization. What am I getting incentivized for to do a certain action? If you look at everything that is in crypto and blockchain space, every application that became big was because of the incentivized economy that they had, which will actually help people or have like actually nudge people to do certain activities or certain action that they want to do. And I guess incentivization through crypto economy is something that needs to be taken to the next level beyond just trading, where people start earning different incentives. Say basically, like we had this plan in place where we wanted driver to like do different activities in the platform, like do more rides, and they start earning rewards, which they can then convert into like maybe like buy an EV for themselves. So crypto incentive, I believe, is something that can help to create that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It sounds good. Um, Another area that you said I want to follow up on is and I didn't know this is fleet management, right?
Yeah.
So a long-term goal in India, in Dubai, how do you, this might be an area of the question about the rest of the world, but how do you move drivers into that fleet, ecosystem and get them to embrace being fleet drivers? And
Correct. So again, it all starts with incentivizing them to come and become part of an ecosystem, and new drivers who want to become part of ride-hailing ecosystem. Like, what will make them make that shift and make that choice that I don't want to buy a diesel car but an electric vehicle? And it is bigger than who we are. It is more about the infrastructures being more developed in countries like India, where infrastructure still remains a bigger problem. So it is bigger than what we want to achieve. It has to like, it is about like more and more government bodies contributing to that and building infrastructure. But what we are doing at this point is like working with banking infrastructure, where they're subsidizing the car purchases and everything. And if a driver, actually a new driver, want to onboard themselves, we help them to get this all uh, in a better fashion, because blue collar job people in India still is a big thing for them to even get a loan in India. So how do we make sure that we make that process smooth for them is something that we are working on currently, and allowing them not just to become a driver but a green driver. So we're working with this one banking partner in India who, if there's a driver who is looking to buy a new car, we basically promote them to like how they can get an EV and get subsidies on that as well, and then connect them with the banking partner to do that.
oh wow, okay, sounds good. Um, okay, so I know you're looking to expand in the MENA region. You know,
Correct.
So what, in addition to infrastructure, right? What are some of the challenges that you've encountered, and how are you pushing through them?
See, I told, we just went live in Dubai, and the next place that we are looking at is Saudi. Saudi is a growing economy at this point. Everybody's in Saudi, so Saudi is something that we want to for sure look for 2025. That's a place we want to be. And if you look at the whole vision 2030 that Saudi has, which also speaks more about around the sustainability, and the building infrastructure also around that, green mobility as a concept that they are working on. I guess for us, getting regulations and getting regulated in the first place, getting licensing in place, because it is very different as compared to like 10 years before launching a ride hailing company versus now, where there are regulations in place. You have to be properly licensed and have everything in place. Licensing still remains in something that we basically want to follow and be in compliance with any geography that we want to go through. So we make sure that we follow everything when it comes to getting licensed and have proper permits in place to operate ourselves. And that remains a challenge, but we are also like willing to work around that, get properly licensed before we launch in a city, not do it like illegally.
Well, you don't want to do it illegally. So,
We don't. See, a lot of people keep doing. If you only want to be in a specific city and just like be like a small player and be there for like long time, nobody notices you. Yeah, you can do it without licenses. But when you actually want to grow and want people to know about you, as soon as you start growing, the first thing, like the regulators come after you, like, where is your license? We don't want to get there. Right? Like, I'll go to a city 6 months later, but I'll go there and grow there.
it's interesting. Back in '04, I was in Cambodia, and we took a we went to the Thai border from Siem Reap, and it was a 2-hour truck ride, but there were no roads there. We had to take a pickup truck and sit in the back, and got completely caked in dirt. Um, but you think, there are, in some of these regions you're looking to expand. I believe there. I mean, I don't know if the status of the roads, but doesn't your doing things legally, aren't you reliant upon the governments of those countries to build the proper infrastructure, and have that has to happen first? Or how do you plan on working in cooperation and conjunction with the regulators so that you are able to do everything legally?
See, there are two aspects to it. Okay, like when we choose a geography where we want to go, we first basically look at the friction that already exists among the driver community. Because if there's a higher friction where drivers are very unsatisfied with the services that they're already using, it gets easier for us to get driver supply in place because they're already irritated with the higher commission that they're paying. So at this point, our focus is to look for friction and look for and then go around and work with the government bodies. There's this one economy that we are working where already Uber and Kareem are banned, and we started speaking with government to understand what is the problem that is happening, why drivers are unsatisfied, why they had to ban other companies, and what we can actually do to build something where even drivers are happy to become a part of a mobile based application. Because if you don't have a mobile based application in a geography, and there are a lot of people not being able to use an application to book a ride, you as an economy is also not growing. So how do we actually make them move to using a mobile application without being feeling that they are being controlled by someone else? So when we speak to a government body about why we want to introduce drive, we also tell them the value proposition of how it will help them in terms of the transport economy to grow. So there's a country we are already working on where there's a lot of friction. There is no such infrastructure in place to track a lot of aspects of the ride journey. So we gave them example of how Dubai has RTA, and all the rides can get tracked, and all the information. And if you allow us to come and license us, we'll be able to bring all those know-how also, because we are not there just to like make crazy money and exploit the economy, but help the driver economy. So what we are learning from different economy where we are operating, we also want to contribute that to different economy where we want to go. So yeah, it's mostly we want to work in congestion and help them with what they don't have, and ask them for helping us to like come to their cities.
So it goes back to, yeah, okay, so you're finding out their pain points first, and then you're
Yes,
talking to drivers, and then you're going to say, hey, we got a solution here that works.
exactly.
Aha, great, excellent. I like it. I like it. I don't know when I'm going to be able to come to Dubai, but hopefully I get there sometime. So, um, awesome. So I want to thank you very much for talking to me today. I enjoyed speaking with you, and I have one last question. And
Yeah.
it's easiest one. How can people find out more information about you, about DRIFE? Can they become a driver for you? How can they become how can they use your services? How can they do that?
Yeah, so the best way to find us is drive.io, our website, where you'll find all different socials and information about where we are available, how you can become a driver, rider, or join Drive as a community. We have 100,000 people crypto community that we also have, where you can interact with the Drive ecosystem, become part of the ecosystem. Use the application even if it is not live in your country. You can use it to like earn DRF for different activities that you can use, be it refer people, share your data with us, so you can still become part of the community. But if you're someone from India or Dubai, you can download the application and use the application as a rider. If you're a driver, you need to again download the application and you have to go through the whole onboarding process. It's a complicated process to become a driver because it involves a lot of onboarding documents that you need to submit. But yeah, drive.io is your first step to find more about us.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Jimmy.